Hello, everyone. I am Sarah Rainey. I am not an attorney. I am a mother who lost her son to a drunk driver by the name of Dennis Rodriguez Abeda Jr. Now, why I can say his name is because I now have him in prison. And over the last several videos, you have seen how hard and how tough that is. And well, let's face it, it's myth versus reality. Because what you hear, what you see, is not what really truly happens behind the scene. You know, some of the things that I will talk about today are shocking, but you can Google them, just like I have. This topic is challenging because it involves law, ethics, public safety, and balancing punishment. As a victim, rehabilitation is probably the furthest thing from our minds, but it is necessary. Initially, I believe judges followed strict guidelines. But this is sometimes false. Remember, judges are human. Judges can make biased decisions, which can drastically impact case outcomes. I've seen it happen. This issue is particularly prevalent in small towns where everyone knows everyone. Hey, I come from such a place. You know of places like that. Everybody knows everybody. And often these positions are filled, not necessarily based on experience, but familiarity within the community. Or, I hate to say it, Democrats will vote for Democrats and Republicans will vote for Republicans without even questioning who they're getting in. Now, while there are many, many, many outstanding judges and DAs that exist, and I've met some of them, this system can sometimes lead to unfair and biased decisions. Let's face it. Judges are human beings, just like everybody else. Now, how can judges impact on the outcome of the sentences? Well, judges determine the length and conditions of the sentences. What does this do? This leads to different sentencings for the same offenses, even in the same courthouse. I know I have seen in California a lady get 59 years for killing a beautiful girl who happened to live here in Las Vegas area. I've also seen in Michigan a man who killed two people 2 different times get only 3 years and an education to beat. And how about me? I had to fight to get 10 years for the murder of my child. And it would have been probation if I hadn't fought and found out about how Texas was giving out probation instead of sentencing for first timers. But wait till you hear what somebody else got away with. Wait till you hear. I will talk about that in a minute. Interpretation of the law. There are, the judges understand laws and can influence whether the defendant is found guilty. Interpretation. Think about that a little bit. Evidence. Admissibility. Judges can decide whether evidence can be presented, affecting the jury's perception in trial's direction. Think about that a little bit. How something can be taken and said in one or two or three different ways to mean something different. Bail decisions. Oh, this is my favorite one. They determine bail conditions impacting defendants' ability to prepare for trial. Well, in my case, as you know, Dennis got 2 times. Each time he disappeared because there was nobody there. There was no probation officer or enough probation officers to take care of him. And he knew how to circumvent the law. Jury's instructions. They can guide the jury to interpreting the law and evidence, shaping and deliberations of verdicts. Plea bargains. Oh boy. Now this is the one I've talked about many times because it happened to me. Judges can accept or reject plea deals, deciding if the case goes to trial or if it resolves through negotiation. You have no say-so in that. Oh, they say you do, but you really don't. But the most shocking was the Affluenza defense. Affluenza defense. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. If someone had told me this is possible in the United States, I wouldn't have believed them, but it is. This defense, get this, this defense argues that a wealthy person isn't criminally liable for their actions because their privileged upbringing made them unable to understand the consequences. Yeah, this defense has been used in several high-profile trials. For example, on May 23rd, 1924, the Leopold and Loeb case, which involved 2 wealthy teenagers, one 18 and one 19, who killed 14-year-old Bobby Franks to see if they could get away with a perfect crime. It is now referred to as the crime of the century. Now, did they get away with it? Well, you judge. Now, I read that they planned for 7 months. Isn't that premeditated murder? Not if you have Clarence Darrow as your attorney. It's now manslaughter. Only the rich could afford him. His lawyer, Clarence Darrow, argued that their privileged upbringing stunned them. Darrow's impassioned 8-hour-long masterful plea was called the finest speech of his career. After the hearing, its principal arguments were the methods and punishments of the American system or justice system were inhumane, and the youth and immaturity of the accused went on for 8 hours. Wait just a second. Kinley was in the military at 18. I was teaching school at 19. How many other kids are working at 16? I guess I'm at loss for words. The best thing for you to do, now this was made into a movie, is to Google it. You will be surprised what really happened. And by the way, one of them died in the 70s, 1970s, which, of course, Kenley wasn't born at that time, but of course I was around. Possibly a lot of you were around. In 1956, Richard DuPont, of the famous DuPont family, now they had money too, was convicted of molesting his 3-year-old daughter. My God. And received probation due to the same defense. That's appalling. Of course, he got off. And he went on to rape other children. He got probation. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. People know how to circumvent it. And if they have buku bucks, they can get away with anything. People are afraid of them. I guess. I'm certainly not. Now, Dennis had probation twice, and he disappeared both times. He knew how to circumvent the law, and I'm sure I know one family member that was helping him, if not more, to get away with probation. It's unfair, but it's reality. Now let's think about 2013 case, Ethan Couch in Texas. He killed 4 people and injured 9 others while drinking and driving. He got 10 years of probation and therapy. He and his mother fled to Mexico, so her baby wouldn't have to do probation. Well, she wasn't the smartest brick in the wall either. She took enough money into Mexico for it to be considered money laundering. And I'm not sure, but I believe they got 2 years in prison. Check that, Google that. You will be able to see the whole story, as well as Leopold Loeb and Richard DuPont. Now, this is ridiculous, but it's reality. And it's still continuing. Judges are human and can be influenced by money, prejudice, and bad judgment. We've seen it just recently. In my case, Dennis almost got probation, but I fought that because I had advocates and was always reading and finding out what was happening in Texas, which is where it happened. And every state is different. At that time, they were given probation for many drug and alcohol cases because they had too many and they wanted to get the cases off the desk, like I've said many times. I ended up having to go for a plea deal of 10 years. And Dennis is now in prison for 5 and up for parole in December 2026, excuse me. But it doesn't stop there. A Dallas Cowboy player, Josh Brent in Texas, he killed his teammate, Jerry Brown, in a drunk driving crash and got 180 days in jail and 10 years probation. And now he has $1 million contract waiting for him. In addition, is Harry Ruggs III, a former Las Vegas racer. I remember this one. He was involved in a fatal DUI crash here in Las Vegas, November 2nd, 2021. I don't know how the heck he did it, but he was driving at 156 miles an hour with the blood alcohol level twice the limit down Las Vegas Boulevard. I'm not sure it was on the Strip, but it was on Boulevard. His reckless driving resulted in the death of a woman and her dog, who tragically burned to death in a car. Now, Rux, I remember seeing a Facebook post or something where he is sitting on the curb, the car is on fire, and he's talking to some woman. And he blames the death of this person on the fire department because they didn't get there soon enough. Despite this, he only received a few years. And again, astonishingly, upon his release, he has a contract waiting with the Raiders, highlighting, DUI manslaughter cases are handled based on the defendant's status and wealth. I would never have thought that, and I don't want to believe it to this day. And it also depends on you, how much you fight, how much you get out there and you read and you learn what's happening, and you make sure that you are talking to people and they know that you know something. They may not know how much you know, but you know something, and you will be in their face. Always be professional. Now, my goal today is to share the light on how the judicial system discredits myths and brings reality to the forefront. It is difficult to understand, but it's crucial. The myth versus reality of our judicial system, especially in DUI manslaughter cases, which in some cases are murder cases, in our homicide cases in some states. The cases I have discussed, Google them. They are hard to believe, but they are reality. In my videos, I try to convey the myths I have countered over the last 6 years versus reality, hoping that this knowledge will help other victims get justice for their loved ones. Remember, always to be a squeaky wheel to get justice for your loved one. Again, I am Sarah Rainey, and I am the mother of Dr. Kenley Jean Rainey and his beautiful, beautiful furry companion, Marshall, who lost their life to a damn drunk driver. That is what the police officer said when they came to the door. A damn drunk driver. I miss my son very, very much. But in his honor, I am doing, or hopefully doing, what he would want me to do, is try to help others. Please, protect your child. Be the squeaky wheel who gets the grease. But always, always be professional. Thank you.